People don't come to watch me smile. Unfortunately, people come to watch me win.
Because 2011 was just that bit short, but 2012 you were able to go one notch better.
I don't like anyone telling me about how acting needs to be done, and I'm sure you will not like someone telling you how cricket needs to be played. Don't look to be popular, look to be a winner.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Kutty Stories with Ash, brought to you by Peter England. I just thought I'll introduce today's guest. Today's guest is someone that I've always wanted to sit right next to and ask him a lot of questions because I know him really well, and sometimes perceptions are very, very different when you see somebody with a different eye, but this person is anything but that, and this is going to be a really, really interesting Kutty Stories with Ash. And hence I thought this interview wouldn't be formal enough. So I'm going to pull the formal nature of this interview out and bring the guest right away. Conversations are sometimes very easily had with some people that we really connect well with. And the guest today on Kutty Stories with Ash is none other than Gigi or Gautam Gambhir. I've always called him Gauti Bhai. Gauti Bhai, thank you so much for joining me on Kutty Stories with Ash.
Pleasure is mine. In fact, I have to congratulate for so many things. Your 100 test matches, your 500 wickets, but at the same time, a bit disappointed because this country hasn't seen the potential which you had with the bat, especially in white ball cricket. I remember, I don't know where I said it a long time back, that you should be batting for India at number 5 or 6, or probably even at number 4. But yes, that is one thing which probably this country has missed out. They've seen the potential of you with the ball, what you've done in test cricket, but probably haven't seen the potential you had with the bat.
Maybe I wasn't good enough then. Getting older, I'm slightly better now. So you can say it with a bit of confidence. But Gauti Bhai, on this show, largely I'll center around, you don't need to center around anything when it comes to conversations with you. Just need to ask the right questions and you're going to be out there with the perfect answers. But look, Gauti Bhai, there's 3 rounds. There is Reminisce with Ash, where we'll talk about a lot of things in the past. And you can, of course, freewillingly say what you want to say. And the next one is a Spirit of Cricket question that's racing its head up all the time. And finally, we'll have a DRS with Ash segment where I'll give you an opportunity to overturn something that you did in the past.
Absolutely.
Using a time machine. So the first one, let's dive into it. Reminisce with Ash. We will be talking about some of the things that have happened in the past, but I was thinking, where should I actually begin this conversation?
There are so many controversies that are involved in me. You can begin from everywhere.
No, one thing that people will know, this is not about controversies. My chats are largely about learnings. Controversies are for, I know it's for grandstand viewing, but it's not what it is for. So in the first segment, I thought I'll start off. There are several things. You were the captain for me in my first full-time ODI series, right? I hadn't played a series till then, before the World Cup, leading into the World Cup. But then I was harping whether I should begin there, and finally landed on this particular thing. We played CSK and KKR derbies in the past, right? What brings out the best in you for that contest? Is it the magnitude of the contest, or what is it?
See, it's not only the magnitude of the contest. Obviously, when two good teams play against each other, obviously it's going to be an exciting and a hard-fought game. But see, I always felt that CSK and KKR were very, very similar in the way they approached the game. The way MS used the spinners, and we had 3 quality spinners as well. You guys, CSK had 3 quality spinners, and probably the conditions, whether it was in Chepauk or in Eden at that time, were very similar. Yes, you had bigger dimensions as compared to what Eden as a ground is, but then our strategies were very similar to each other, and that's the reason we had to be at our best from the tactical point of view to be able to beat you guys. And that's the reason I thought that it was a very, very hard-fought game, especially against CSK, because I knew that how he's going to, or you guys are going to bowl against our batters, and we guys are going to bowl against your batters. So that's the reason why I always felt that CSK and KKR, during those times, were very, very similar teams.
They were very similar teams indeed, no doubt. Let's just dive a little bit back in time. Okay, you started your IPL career with Delhi Daredevils. You were early entrant, like you won the T20 World Cup in 2007. And you had a taste of what T20 cricket was all about, and then ended up playing with Virender Sehwag, AB de Villiers, David Warner a little bit later. What was franchisee cricket like in comparison to what the world T20 cricket setup like? What was it like? What was it different?
Initially, I thought, in the first couple of years of IPL, I thought that international cricket was far more tougher than franchise cricket. But today, when I look back, or probably the later half of my career in franchise cricket, I thought franchise cricket became much more tougher than international T20 format, especially the IPL. I don't know about other leagues, because if you see in the first 3 or 4 years, when you play an international game, you're literally facing 5 or 6 top quality bowlers. But when it came to IPL, in the first couple of years, when the standard was not as good as it is now, you could always target 2 or 3 domestic bowlers, and you could only, for a batter it was far more easier to get runs in franchise cricket as compared to international cricket. But today when I look at international T20 sides, apart from 2 or 3 sides, I don't see that there is enough competition when it comes to playing for India. Not many teams can match the quality what India has. So I feel that in today's day and age, I think IPL has become far more competitive than international T20 cricket.
But what has changed? I mean, 4 foreign cricketers continue to play. 7 Indian cricketers in every team. In fact, 2 teams have been added on. What has changed?
Just the quality of domestic players. I think just the way domestic players want to play the IPL, they work around T20 cricket. I think most of their focus is on playing T20 cricket. If you see a lot of these young players, and that is where a massive threat going forward will be with Indian cricket, is that how many cricketers do want to play Test cricket? Because if the entire discussion with young cricketers revolve around how they can get selected to play the IPL. Because, and I hope this is not the shortcut to play for India, because ultimately the only way to play for India is to probably do well in first class cricket and then do well in 50 over format, Vijay Hazare, and then the IPL. You can only select your T20 side from an IPL competition. You should never select your 50 over side looking at a T20 or an IPL, because if your domestic players keep talking about how they can get selected to play the IPL, somewhere the focus starts shifting from first class cricket to IPL. And that's the reason I say that IPL as a quality has got much better as compared to where it was initially in the first 3 or 4 years.
Okay, that brings up another interesting debate. I've had this question in my mind for a while. Never really, no one answer is the right answer, right? You just mentioned that you should never select teams based on something, some one tournament alone. Let's just say the T20 World Cup or a T20 Indian setup. There are different formats. Different teams are being selected in different parts of the world. Even in the 2007 World Cup, I think some of the teams, like England, brought a very specialized T20 team to the World Cup. How exactly do you go about selecting people for the international team?
Look, T20 World Cup and T20 side for India should be selected from IPL.
Right.
A 50 over format should be selected from Vijay Hazare, and your test side should be selected from your first class cricket, red ball cricket, as simple as it can get. Otherwise, if you start selecting people in 50 over format or even in red ball cricket from an IPL competition, I think you're making a lot of shortcuts for a lot of these young players to not focus on red ball cricket or in 50 over format, and then you're literally walking on the edge.
Right, okay, you're going to get into the T20 World Cup this year, right? There will be a lot of players who will put their hand up. As we are speaking, there are many cricketers from around the IPL who are performing really well. A lot of youngsters, some of them are coming and bowling really quick. There is this temptation of people speaking about them in high jest. You said the IPL has really risen its standard, and sometimes it's even better than the international game. Then do these people straight away slot in and stake a claim for themselves, or how does it work?
Ash, there's a problem. The thing is, in India, we start creating so much of hype with these young cricketers coming through. I think the thing is, everyone gets excited if someone is bowling at 150 clicks. But the point is, you need to look at the conditions as well. You need to look at, and I was having a discussion yesterday with someone. I said, going forward in T20 cricket, I think the averages, the runs will have no impact. It is the strike rates, it's when you have to select a batter and when you have to select a bowler, the kind of tough overs he can bowl. That will be the discussion that will happen in next 2 or 3 years. The point is, we keep talking about the amount of runs, the amount of averages and all that stuff, someone bowling at 150. Sometimes when you go in a condition like a West Indies or in Bangladesh, you don't need someone who's bowling 150. You might need someone who's bowling a lot of cutters as well, and that is where the vision needs to be with the selectors. But again, I think if you start picking, sometimes you pick raw talent, but creating so much of hype just after 2 or 3 games, we need to have a balanced approach, because what happens in India is that the graph goes like this. And it is not good for a young player as well. And that is where all the experts, all the commentators, everyone needs to be more balanced when it comes to these young players, because it is very easy for them probably to get deviated from the hard work or from all the good things they are doing. Because suddenly when you start talking about this young cricketer a lot, that he's done really well, sometimes it can backlash as well for him. So I think we need to have a much balanced approach. Yes, and more importantly, looking at the conditions which are equally important.
Interesting. I think we will keep dwelling upon this conversation if we go down this line. I just want to pull it back to IPL and your times with Delhi Daredevils, and more importantly KKR. KKR picked you in 2011 at the mega auction. In fact, I remember you going and sitting in the auction. You've been a part of several auctions since. You were a player, prime player in Delhi Daredevils, and then you shifted over to KKR, handed over the reins, took over from the son of the soil, Sourav Ganguly, so to say. The fans were very severely attached to Dada himself. How did you find the early phase? It was a good season in 2011, but it eventually turned around in 2012. How did you find the early phases of your captaincy at KKR?
Look, I'll tell you this thing that when I got picked in 2011, a lot of people told me that there'll be a lot of backlash because you're replacing someone like Sourav Ganguly. And I remember my first day in Kolkata, the amount of love I received was unimaginable. Never thought that I would receive that kind of a love, because a lot of things were spoken about when Sourav was replaced, but not even once in my 7 years of captaincy, I was not made to feel that I did not belong to Kolkata. And that's my relationship with the people of Kolkata. And I have said it not because I was captaining them, I've said it from my heart that Kolkata is my home. And that's the emotion I carry, because I remember this one game when we were playing against Pune Warriors, and where I think the entire stadium was divided into purple and blue, and Sourav was leading Pune Warriors. And there was this huge article on the match day where it was written in Telegraph, I still remember, that Bengal will be divided for the second time after partition. And it was the headline, it was a front page thing. And that time I used to get Telegraph in my room as well. We were staying here itself. And I remember walking out of this hotel, we were staying in the same hotel. And there's this guy at the gate, he told me one thing. He said that when you walk today, when you go for the toss, remember, the entire Bengal will only be cheering for you, because KKR belongs to Kolkata. You will not walk alone today. And I carried that thought with me to the toss, and not even once in 7 years of my captaincy, I have never walked alone. The people of Kolkata has walked with me, their blessings have walked with me, and that's the strength I got from the people of Kolkata, and that's the reason why when I come back to Kolkata, it's always about giving back to them.
So when I'm talking to you right now, I feel you're such an emotionally connected person to most things that you do in life. You're talking about people's blessings, walking with people, so on and so forth. And you also spoke about the hype in the previous question, that people make perceptions, make an hype out of things. Is Gautam Gambhir the person and the IPL legend? Is he the same that is sometimes being perceived of him on the outside?
Look,
Do you understand what I'm asking?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
See, people who know me knows me, the kind of person I am. And people who do not know me can talk whatever they want to. It doesn't bother me one single bit. People who are connected with me, people who are close to me, know the kind of person I am. And I cannot please everyone in this country, and I don't even intend to please everyone. I don't even want everyone to know me the kind of person I am. For me, people who matter to me, they should know the kind of person I am, the kind of thoughts I have, what kind of a human being, whether I'm emotional, whether sometimes I'm ruthless as well, but that's the kind of person I am. And so I have never ever thought about what people are talking about me, all that misconception, perception. See, it's up to them. They can talk whatever they want to, unless you don't know me. You should not, if I don't know someone, I never make a perception about someone. So they have all the right to do whatever they want to.
Could we call this the white line syndrome, Gautibai? Like once I was speaking to Sharath, one of the legends from our state. He was the biggest cricketer I knew at that point of time. I asked him, what does it mean to play the game? A very, very random generic question when I came through. And he said, you must have the white line syndrome. I asked him, what is it? Once you cross that boundary line, even if it is your dad, you must make sure that you come out on top.
And
right?
what's wrong in that, Ash?
And that's
real. What's wrong in that? I don't understand. Sometimes when people talk about, he doesn't smile, he doesn't laugh, he's always intense, he's always grumpy, he's always walking on the edge, he always has his game face on. People don't come to watch me smile. Unfortunately, people come to watch me win. That's the kind of profession we guys are in. I can't help it. I'm not an entertainment. I'm not a Bollywood actor, or I'm not a corporate. I'm a cricketer. I'm into performing art. My job is that I want to come back in a winning dressing room. And fortunately, unfortunately, a winning dressing room is a happy dressing room, is a winning dressing room. And I have all the right to fight for myself, for my teammates, and do everything possible within the spirit of the game to try and beat the opposition. And that is all I have learned how to do, and I will do it till the last, probably till the last day of my life if I'm involved with cricket. And there is nothing wrong. I don't understand when people say that, you know, he's too hard, he plays the certain way. Yes, I play the certain way because it helps me perform to the best of my ability. I'm not breaking any rules. I want to be as aggressive as I can be. And what's wrong in that? That's my nature, that's my characteristics. Because for me, winning is an obsession, and I'm actually obsessed with winning. What's wrong in that? I'm actually obsessed with winning. That's the problem I have.
You are obsessed with winning. You've got a lovely family, but that's where I'm not going to your family right now. But they say some marriages are made in heaven and some scripts are written up there, right? You say you're obsessed with winning, you want to win, you want to play the hard way. Your marriage with KKR has been one of the finest, right? You've been at LSG, you've been at Delhi Daredevils. I can keep on saying you were a captain. We went in the same car when I was captaining Kings 11. We were having a long discussion. How do you think a franchisee's view on a certain player matters? They have embraced you for who you are, right? For who exactly you are, and now you're back at KKR. They know the value you bring to the table. What is that synergy? Is it that Gautam has given them success, or is it that Gautam's values are what they really embrace?
Look, it goes both ways. See, when I got picked in 2011, they didn't know me that well. I didn't know KKR that well as well. It's just the relationship which you have. It's just the honesty as well. Sometimes your honesty makes things very easy as well. And the kind of person you are, if you're doing everything right, what is good for the franchise, what is good for the team. And again, it's the trust of the owner as well. I've said it many times in the past. I think SRK has been the best owner I've ever worked with. And the reason is not because now I'm again back in KKR. The reason is in that 7 years of me captaining, we had not spoken for 70 seconds about cricket. He had never asked me a single question on cricket in those 7 years. Can you imagine?
I remember him in 2012 when you guys won the IPL, coming down to Chennai. It was a very famous victory. We will dwell on that a little, but I remember SRK celebrating like crazy after the game. And you say you don't talk about cricket with him for more than 70 seconds. What does your conversation with him look
Nothing.
like?
We've never spoken about cricket.
What do you
Even
talk
now
about?
we've never spoken about cricket.
What do you
Just
talk-
generally. We talk about life. I have not spoken since I've come. It's been 20 days. I haven't spoken about cricket with him. We don't talk about cricket. Because the first thing he told me in 2011 was, when I met him for the first time, after I got picked, was he said that I don't like anyone telling me about how acting needs to be done. And I'm sure you will not like someone telling you how cricket needs to be played. I said, absolutely. And that was my only conversation with him.
You actually said absolutely to him.
Absolutely. And I've told him absolutely. And he said that that's the end. That's the only conversation I've had in 7 years with him. And he's never spoken. Even in the last 20 days, he's never asked me, what team are we playing? He's never asked me, what's the strategy? He's never asked me a single question on cricket. That's the trust. And that's why when you said that whether our relationship was made in heaven, yes, this is the reason why it was made in heaven. And it comes with trust. It comes with honesty. It comes with accountability. Because he knows that if something goes wrong, I'll be the first person in the room to put my hand up and say, yes, we messed it up, and I'm accountable for it. And that's the kind of person I am. I'll be the first one to take up the responsibility, the accountability, the performances, good, bad, ugly. It's my responsibility because everything in a successful franchise starts from the top. It doesn't start from the bottom. It has to start from the top, and at the moment, it starts with me.
Interesting, taking accountability and responsibility. Let's not talk about MI and CSK. That's not what this is for. Looking from afar, I've always enjoyed what KKR has done. I've spoken a lot to Lakshmipathy Balaji, who hails from the same part of the world as I do. He's spoken a lot about KKR and what they do and stuff like that. Barring Rohit and MS, you're the only one to win 2 titles in the IPL, which is a massive achievement. You come and broken the fortress. Even this year, you've spoken about coming and breaking the Chennai fortress and the Mumbai fortress. What did you have to change at KKR, Gautam, when you came here? What exactly did you imbibe? Because 2011 was just that bit short, but 2012 you were able to go 1 notch better. Again, you went 1 notch better a year later. What did you change?
Look, I had a very, very simple philosophy, and I still have a very simple philosophy, which I have not spoken a lot about, is I think in a team sport, the big contributions only make headlines. It's the small contributions that will win you games. And people do not understand that. People are obsessed with headlines, people are obsessed with stats, people are obsessed with numbers. It's the small contributions, Ash. It's that 4/13 spell is a game changer. It's that 10 ball 20 that's a game changer. I remember we guys playing against you guys, and I got a 70 or a 80, and Debabrata Das got a 5 ball 10 or 12, and I gave my man of the match to him. And the reason why I gave my man of the match to him was because had he not scored those 12 or 13 runs, my 80 or 70 would have had no value to it. And all this team bonding and stuff, the team dinners and all that, stands for nothing. It's just a very, very good PR activity. Unless and until you do not start appreciating small performances, there is no other way where a young cricketer will start feeling that he belongs to the franchise, he belongs to the team. No one wants these dinners and stuff. Everyone wants appreciation. That's my philosophy, and that has always remained, and that will always remain. It is not only about big scores or big innings and stuff, because me as an opener will always have more opportunity to get 100 as compared to someone who's batting at 7. So the moment you start appreciating someone who's doing the tough job, bowling the tough overs, remember all this team bonding can be put on the sideline. This is the best team bonding that can ever happen in any team sport.
Still remember this conversation we had in Guwahati. You were leading the side in that series. You handed me the ball inside the power play in the first 10. I asked you what field should I take, and you gave me the ball and said, I know you'll anyway get the batsman out. Put what you feel like and you just continue bowling. And the first over, Martin Guptill was caught at long on by Munaf Patel. I still remember that very clearly in my head. I don't know what it is, but somehow when you speak, I could find the genuinity in your eyes that comes through. I don't know, like you said in the previous terms, right? Like people look at me and said he doesn't smile, he's always serious, puts a game face on. It's just that sometimes perception goes ahead of you. There is a line in Tamil, which of course I can't replicate it. They say the sound of an elephant coming comes before the elephant itself.
That's so true.
So, you know, the person that you are.
Because I'll tell you why it doesn't bother me anymore, because the biggest perception I had in my life, I had already probably gone past that perception, was when I was growing up. When I was 12, 13, I remember my first under 14 tournament. I did not get selected because I did not touch the selector's feet. And from there on, I promised myself that I will never ever touch anyone's feet, and I do not even let anyone touch my feet. And I remember coming through my career, every time, whether it was under 16, under 19, Ranji Trophy, or even initially in my international career, every time I would fail, people will say that, so you come from a family, you don't need to play cricket. You've got so many, you can go and join your dad's business. So that was the biggest perception that was hanging on my head. And people did not realize that I wanted it more than them, because I wanted to be that perception. So when I was able to be that perception, no other perception ever bothers me. Because for me, the toughest perception in my career or in my life was to be that perception where people thought that I did not wanted it that hard, and I wanted it more hard than any of them.
Everybody has a different journey to go through, and sometimes we miss that wonderful journey that everybody is trying to break, and he's bringing it out nicely. Gautam, you spoke about something in the previous segment, previous question, which I did want to dwell upon a little bit. You spoke about Debabrata Das. I was the one bowling the last phase to him. In fact, I remember getting Yusuf out, and he tonked me over mid-wicket. You spoke about small contributions, right? You said 5 ball 10s, you know, 4 overs 24, 4 overs 30 or whatever. In your time at KKR, can you tell me or remember those cricketers that made small, very tiny contributions that you value them for till today?
So many. Debabrata Das, I remember Lakshmiratan Shukla making that contribution against Delhi in one of the playoff games. I remember Manoj Tiwari hitting those 2 boundaries against you guys in 2012. I remember Rajat Bhatia bowling those tidy spells. I remember Lakshmipati Balaji bowling that first spell where he got injured, where he got 2 or 3 batters in the first playoff game. I remember there were so many contributions. And that's the reason why I always keep telling myself that my contribution had no impact, because I always had more opportunity than most of the other guys. And that's the reason why I say that we are so obsessed with headlines. And I have never ever thought that how can a country be so obsessed with headlines? Because imagine someone batting at 6 or 7. Imagine you're bowling the 6th over in a power play, or someone bowling the first over. You've played 100 test matches, you've got more than 500 test wickets. You're probably the best off spinner going around. You tell me, bowling the first over is easy or bowling the 6th over is easy? Bowling the 6th over is probably the toughest job any bowler can do. But imagine if you bowl that good 6th over, how much you've got your team back in the contest. And that's the reason why a captain or a coach needs to appreciate that one particular over. That is what is called small contributions. Sometimes all we do is start looking at the analysis, the figures, 4 overs, 40 for 2. for me, it was never the case. It will never be the case. It is those important overs which has been bowled really well is what needs to be appreciated, or those massive impact with that number 6 or 7 is something which is going to create a lot of winning moments for our team. That's why I can talk about so many small contributions. I can talk about Yusuf Pathan playing that 23 or 24 ball 70 against Sunrisers. We were literally cornered in 2014. We had to win 7 out of 7 to qualify, and then we finished in the top 2, and then we went on to win that competition. So there has been so many unsung heroes. Unfortunately, there is no word called unsung. It's only undervalued or undershown, because there is no one which is unsung. It's only which is when someone is appreciated less or less shown is become unsung. But there are so many contributions which I can keep talking about.
You spoke about headlines. You spoke about PR activities. You spoke about people being hyped up more than they need to be hyped up. You spoke about it not being a Bollywood movie where there is a villain and a hero. All these are things I've always echoed through whatever I've been trying to say through my YouTube channel to the normal Janta ho watching the game.
Yeah, but a lot more people need to come out with it. And the biggest problem, Ash, is that when I say something, I know 80% of the people agree to it only when they're sitting in their drawing rooms. But the moment they come in public life, sometimes they do not, because I know they do agree, but when they come out in public life, sometimes they're probably scared of the backlash as well. That's the reality. You know, I know that someone like you, for example, you got 500 test wickets. And I'm not saying that, I've said it on air as well. The best spell I have ever seen, and every young off spinner should watch, is your spell. The masterclass was in Melbourne. That first day where you got Manas Labuschagne out and Steve Smith out, that was a masterclass. Tell me how many people talk about it. Tell me your contribution in the toughest game in 2011, which was against Australia, where you bowled with a new ball against Watson and Ponting and Brad Haddin. How many people talk about it? Tell me how many people talk about Zaheer Khan's spell in the World Cup final. 5 overs, 4 maiden, 6 runs. Tell me, how many people talk about it? It's not about taking credit from someone. It's about giving credit to other people as well. I'm not taking credit from anyone. I'm only giving credit to a lot of other people. Some people do not understand that. Some people think that I'm only trying to take credit from someone. It's not about that. I'm no one to take credit from anyone. But I have all the right to give credit to everyone. That's my way of living life. Your spell, Zaheer's spell, we keep talking about how to probably set the game. How to probably, in the first, imagine if a batter would have got 10 overs, 80, we would have kept talking about it. But no one ever even understands, or no one even remembers Zaheer's spell in the World Cup final at 2:30 in the afternoon in severe heat. If you can set the game like that, what bigger thing do you want in a World Cup final? And that's why I say that how much PR is enough, how much marketing is enough, and more importantly, how much hype is enough. You tell me, have you ever spoken about it? You've never spoken about it.
We don't, but I mean the changing landscape of the game is such that, right? Today a lot of people do find benefits of being marketed and projected in a certain direction. It is what it is. Sometimes you live by the sword, you die by it. I keep going back to the same fact of saying, are we a sporting country? We maybe are not. We are still a country that loves our soaps, loves our Bollywood movies, loves our regional language movies now. And there is always, at the end of the movie, we need to remember one thing, Gauji bhai. I mean, saw Jawan as well, just done by SRK. There is a hero and there is a villain. So a storyline with a hero and a villain always sells nicely. And every time I try to say this to the common audience about...
So who's the villain here?
No, we need a villain.
You're in Calcutta. I'm a hero here. I'm not a villain here.
No, you are the hero, of course. I don't
know about other parts of the country, but I can talk about Kolkata.
No, I've understood one thing sitting in the center of this PR and whole wagon. I do not want to be the hero, nor do I want to be the villain. I want to be the friend right next to you who will probably get killed at the end, but I'm happy not being a part of the narrative, you know?
No, I'm going to take a bullet before you, don't worry.
No, I'm just saying it's better to stay in the center sometimes. The want to be a hero is a problem. And also, putting yourself in a situation of wanting to be a villain can be even worse. And I've seen it through my eyes. I've learned it from other people as well. I hope you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, before we dive into the next segment, Gauti bhai, it's been unreal. I actually thought this conversation wouldn't be formal. It hasn't been, but it's taken me to newer directions. Look, you've been a part of the auction. Because this is about the IPL, I want to go to auctions. There is no IPL without the auctions. You're probably one of the rare cricketers who's been a part of the auction for two franchises. You've picked sides. In fact, I remember speaking to you when you got picked as the LSG mentor. And you told me something, no one player makes a team. It is about the combination of players we have, the backups we have. How critical is an auction? How different was it for you as a player to address an auction?
For me, auction is very, very important because if you're leading a side, you should be on the auction table. Because you cannot be cribbing in the middle of a tournament saying that I do not have a strong squad. When you had the option of picking a strong squad, you should have been part of the auction. Because 50% of the job is done on the auction table. And more importantly for me, I think the biggest challenge was 2 years back when we were building LSG from the scratch. And that was my first auction. Not as a captain, because when I was picked in 2011, the first 3 years, obviously, the first year, I was picked as a captain, but the entire squad was already picked. But 2 years back, when we were building from the scratch, for me, I was very, very nervous because, everything was very new for me. It was a new franchise. More importantly, we had to build a strong side because a lot of other teams were very strong as well. And I remember getting really, not nervous and not even panicked, but getting a little edgy when a lot of players actually in the first round went and we were waiting for someone, and suddenly obviously the owner looks at you and say that we've let go of everyone, and then we had not picked a single player. And I remember picking Quinton de Kock as our first player. And so it was a new experience, but fortunately it was decent because we did manage to put a decent side on the table and on the paper as well. But again, I think auction for me is very, very important, and you need to be very, very proactive on the auction table. You cannot be sitting back and thinking that I can have this laid back attitude. You got to be proactive. What you see is what you decide and how you react. That is very, very important. Otherwise, what happens is sometimes you're looking for someone and you might not even end up getting that one individual. And again, a good team, a strong team is not built around one or two individuals. It's built around the combination, the kind of people, the kind of characters you want, because that is what will create a legacy. That is what will create the identity of the team, the kind of characters you want. And more importantly, the characters will take the franchise forward. A lot of people talk about having big names in the team. For me,
how do you assess a character? I've been saying this for a long, long time. It's not about the wickets or the runs. It's about the ability of a cricketer to want the pressure.
See, how do I assess the character is how I see myself. And if I can have a lot of players with my kind of a character, I would like that because it'll be easier for me to work with it, with those kind of people. And see, you can call it as a selfish approach, but I feel that it is always easy. When I sit on the auction table, I look at individuals who've got a bit of that fight, a bit of that passion, and sometimes that emotion as well, because in a performing art, you need emotions. You have to have emotions for the franchise. I have huge emotions for people of Kolkata. I've got emotions for KKR. I want people who are a little emotional. What's wrong in that? And I want guys who are willing to take a fight, because ultimately you want fighters in the middle. You don't want guys who can be pushovers.
I'm having people tell me I have to move on quickly, but one last question before we get into the next segment. People lose games in the IPL, right? You lose a lot more than you actually end up winning if you look at the larger context of an IPL season. What is your take on post-match get-togethers and friendships on the field when people lose a game and you're there sitting and having a nice chat?
You want me to answer in one line?
Do not tell me it's a photo op.
I hate losing. I just hate losing. Can't help it. And I hate losing from a point of view where, see, I'm very, very traditional. I'm very old school as well. And I've always been like that. See, you want to meet people after the game, all that is fine. It is what has happened in IPL. But for me, I think when I lose a game, I get grumpy. And I don't like losing. I don't want to come back in my hotel room thinking that when KKR loses, it means I have lost the game. That's the kind of emotion I have. And when I come back in a dressing room, which is a losing dressing room, I just don't like it. So that's the reality. Even if I'm probably meeting young players, obviously I'm going to give the best advice I could. But again, deep inside me, it's still hurting. And it hurts for a very long time. And see, again, people might take it in a very, very different way. But then every individual is different. Some people can let go of that loss very quickly. Some people take a long time for it. Someone like me, it hurts till the time I don't win the next time. Whether it could be in 2 days' time, whether it could be in 1 week's time. Till I don't win the next one, it's hurting inside.
I played a game, school game. We lost that game. I was probably 12 years old then. I refused to go to school the next day because my classmates would ask me why I lost the game. All right. We all, as cricketers, grow up in a certain fashion, and mostly when we are playing sport as a youngster or whatever, we all want to win. And suddenly, when you get to the next stage and you feel losing is a part of the game, it's still not acceptable even for me. But unfortunately or fortunately, you can say IPL has evolved into a zone where people have accepted that losses and wins happen back to back, and you need to be neutral. Anyway, it's time to dive to the next segment, Gauti bhai. I mean, I know you have your timelines.
No,
so
no problem.
The next segment is the Gentleman's League question, which is brought to you by Peter England. You spoke about the spirit of the game within the rules in the previous one. I don't know if you still remember it. What is spirit of cricket? What is within the rules? And then, what is a gentlemanly behavior?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. If you ask me, nothing. Spirit of the game, everyone plays within the spirit of the game. Whatever is written in laws, you've got all the right to use it.
Right.
You've not done any match fixing, you've not tampered with the ball. You've got all the right to play hard. You've got all the right to win a game of cricket within the rules of the game, irrespective of how you win. That's about it. That is what is spirit of the game.
Okay. So that's why I'm going to ask this question. You were sitting in the LSG dugout, RCB versus LSG, happening at the Chinnaswamy Stadium. Harshal Patel tried to run out Bishnoi at the non-striker's end. There was a lot of emotions after the game. Avesh was really upset. Avesh is with RR right now. I asked him why the hell did he throw the helmet down? Because he had to get a new one the next day. And what would have happened? How would you have felt if the player was run out of the
I
non-striker?
would have been fine with it. But the only thing I wasn't fine was when Harshal actually turned around and tried to run the batter out.
That was an emotional outburst.
Probably he must have missed that. He tried monketing out and he couldn't do it. Probably he jumped too far. But then I would have been fine with it because it was the non-striker's responsibility to hold his ground, and that is something. Had Bishnoi got monkered, I would have been fine with it. I know obviously I might have started because we wouldn't have won that game, but then it's up to the non-striker.
It's up to him to stay inside the field.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What's wrong in that? I have no reason to be upset about. For me, I think it's written in the laws. If someone can use it, can use it.
You said something recently, and you've been saying this for a while now. You said, if you are on my team, you're on my team. And I've never taken personal relationships onto the field and happenings on the field off it as well. You recently made that statement, once again. Because what I saw was when the LSG RCB game happened in Lucknow, when Naveen was finding himself in that controversial situation, you stood up for him, but you also made sure that you came out and said, that is what it is because Naveen's on my side of the fence.
Because I don't leave anyone alone. That's the belief I live with. I cannot and I will never let anyone be alone in a fight. That's my job. If I'm mentoring, whether I'm playing, whether I'm captaining, that is the belief I've lived with, and that is the belief I will always live with. If I cannot stand up for my players, if I cannot stand up for my teammates, I have no right to be sitting in that dressing room. I'd rather be at home, holidaying with my family, spending time with my little ones, rather than being with my teammates. Because if I'm part of that dressing room, I'm not going to leave anyone alone.
So is it a fair assessment to say that you're not here to win a popularity contest?
I don't need to be popular. I need to be a winner. Who wants to be popular if you can't be a winner? No one can be popular if you can't be a winner. That's the reality. People only want to associate with winners. And I want to be a winner, not a popular guy.
So if Gautam Gambhir had to give one piece of advice to youngsters watching the game and wanting to play the IPL, because believe it or not, that's where it's headed.
No, I'll tell you one thing. First advice is that don't look to play the IPL, look to play for the country.
No, you have to face what is
that's true. Yeah, that's true. You're making a very valid point. One advice is that IPL is serious cricket. IPL is not about money. IPL is not about entertainment. IPL is serious cricket. And if you've picked a bat, make sure, if you picked a ball, make sure that whenever you come back, you try and come back in a winning dressing room. And a winning dressing room is a happy dressing room, because there is no better feeling than winning a game for your teammates and for your franchise or for your jersey.
In my view, Gautam Gambhir is one of the foremost gentlemen to have played the game. Winning at any cost doesn't sacrifice you being a gentleman. So that's where I would take the next segment to DRS with Ash. It's brought to you by Probo. And Gauti bhai, it's been a very intense conversation, but I'm going to put a lot of questions like a
Why
rapid...
is it that all my conversations are intense? I don't know. Everyone says that intense.
No, it's not intense.
It's just the personality. I don't know. Seriously.
No, but when you're saying something, it like when you even now when you said, I don't want to win a popularity contest. You just said that.
Yeah, but
and I'm like, no, there's nothing wrong in that. I absolutely enjoyed it, and it made me dwell deep. I was like, oh yeah, he's right. He doesn't want to, and that's not how you should be. And it's making me, ponder on what my ethos of wanting to,
Tell me one thing. If someone tells you, Ash, at the end of the year or at the end of the IPL season, you're going to have a IPL trophy in your hand. Would you prefer that, or would you be a popular cricketer not having that trophy?
I don't want the Fair Play Award.
Where are we?
I'm being very blunt about that.
Where are we, number 10? Someone sent me a message here a couple of days back that KKR is where KKR is at the moment. I said, yeah, in the top, no. In Fair Play at number 10. I said, is there a trophy? I said, no.
No, actually, that brings up a very interesting debate, Gauti. Because
And I still don't understand. We played pretty fair. What wrong have we done in the last 5 games? I don't think so we've done anything wrong. And still we are number 10. Probably it's just because I'm sitting in the dugout.
I'm sure you would have seen this. When we used to go to school, like the favorite children in the class would get this incentive cards.
Yeah.
Like the merit cards, like the well-behaved cards. My daughter brought...
Unfortunately, even then I was the backbencher. I was made to sit at the last bench. I don't know, it's been going with me since I was a young kid, and it's continued like that. The moment I'm there with any franchise, the Fair Play Award, we are the what? Number 9 or number 10. Last year LSG was number 9, this year KKR is number 10.
So if you want a Fair Play Award, don't take Gautam.
Yeah, if you want to, please, stay away from me.
No, the reason I was asking that was in the recent Fair Play Award table, I saw SRH was right on top. Like you're rated on 10 points, and SRH were given 11 in certain games. And one of those games happened to be where the bowler threw the ball, Jaddu turned around, and the appeal was withdrawn. Okay? I want to ask the Fair Play awardee a question. Not every game does a player try to, do that, and the captain doesn't get an opportunity to overturn the appeal. Just because somebody...
Honestly, I'll tell you, this year I thought that we would be at the top of the table because what has happened in Chinnaswamy. I thought that we are there is no even competition, irrespective where we are on the points table, but we've got to be at the top of the Fair Play Award, but still we are at the bottom.
Is that one part of the conversation SRK had with you? He said, Gautam, listen, at whatever cost, you're back in the team, but I want the Fair Play Award. Has he told you?
If he tells me this, I'll say that probably you need someone else in that dugout because you will never have that Fair Play Award till I'm there. I've done the best I could to the best of my ability. Still, we are at number 10.
See, this round, like I told you, DRS with Ash is about giving you an opportunity. Like, you didn't play a lot of cricket with DRS in it, international cricket. It just about started. The technology also was struggling a bit as you were playing the game. The way you're talking, I don't think you have any regrets in life. You're just happy, comfortably, whatever you've done and whatever you are. You're very comfortable in your skin. But I'm just going to give you the DRS to say, this is one decision I would use a time machine and reverse in my life. If I had to give you that opportunity, what would that be?
According to DRS, you're talking about DRS?
No, not DRS. I mean, whatever has happened in your life. It could be, okay.
Cricketing?
Look, yeah,
if you
cricketing.
talk about cricketing.
I hit a ball here, I nicked
the worst thing that has happened in white ball cricket is the introduction of 2 new balls. And the reason why I say that is, you've taken the entire skill of a finger spinner away from the game, whether it's a left arm spinner or whether it's an off spinner. You've got 2 new balls, you've got 5 fielders inside. How do you expect a finger spinner to get anything out of the surface, and how do you expect a finger spinner to be included in the playing 11? That's the worst thing that has happened in white ball cricket according to me. And it's not that you're sitting next to me. I've said it on Star Sports, I've said it on so many other platforms, that you've taken 2 of the best finger spinners in the world who should have played more white ball cricket, you and Nathan Lyon. The reason why you guys didn't play was because there was nothing for you guys. If you're bowling the 20th over, literally you're bowling with the 10 over new ball. And with 5 fielders inside and on a flat track. and with big bats, and with power hitters,
And with smaller boundaries.
and with smaller boundaries,
LED
and on top
boards.
of that, DRS. Tell me. And it's not only about you and Nathan Lyon, it's about going, what is a job of our ICC is, what is the job of the ICC is, that you promote every kind of bowler who wants to become an off spinner or finger spinner. Tell me how many youngsters going forward would want to take up this finger spin, this art of bowling off spin or left arm spin. No one would want to, because they know that they've got no future in white ball cricket. That's something, if it is my way, I'm going to just get rid of it. I love that format or that rule where you had one new ball. See, it's not the player's problem. If a ball manufacturer can't keep the ball in good shape for 550 overs, might as well change the ball manufacturer. Don't introduce two new balls because one new ball cannot hold that whatever color for 50 overs. That's not your problem. That's not a player's problem. That's a manufacturer's problem. So for me, I think that rule of introducing two new balls is probably the worst rule that has happened in cricket. It has taken that entire skill away, and I don't think so going forward anyone would want to bowl off spin or left arm spin.
Even I recommend the same thing. People who come up to me and ask, what should I do? I said, start batting.
Or
Because
bowl
if you-
wrist spin.
Because if you bat and bowl a bit of spin, you'll be appreciated.
Yeah, a bowl wrist spin.
Yeah.
See, but this is so unfortunate. This is, see, on a very serious note, this is the reality, that when people talk about taking wickets in the middle innings, suddenly they realize that the only wicket takers could be wrist spinners. Unless you've got a carom ball or a flicker. But where is that art of bowling genuine off spin or a genuine left arm spinner where you can beat people in the air or off the wicket as well, because there is nothing off the wicket and you've got 5 fielders inside. So I think ICC has messed it up. Hopefully they can change it going forward and have one ball as for the entire 50 overs.
Usually on this show, I've asked questions that have made the guest think, but this has been the other way around. So I don't know who the host and the guest has been. But on this final segment, right, Gautibhai, I have 5 rapid fire questions for you. I'll give you options,
Yep.
largely centered around KKR, because I know how much you love it. My first question, most wickets by an Indian fast bowler for KKR. I can give you options. A. Ishant Sharma, B. Rajat Bhatia, C. Umesh Yadav, D. Lakshmipati Balaji.
Rajat Bhatia.
It's actually C. Umesh Yadav. We've spoken about the power of perceptions.
Good.
He was on close contender for being a purple cap holder last year, the year before. He got 65 wickets for KKR. And the second question is, how many different captains have KKR had in their IPL history? 7, 8, 9, 6.
Saurav, Brendan, me, Dinesh Karthik, Morgan, 5. Shreyas, 6. Nitish, 7. 7?
Really close. The one that you missed was Jack Callis.
So this just shows that I'm so away from data and analysis.
So you don't depend on that?
I have never watched. You ask most of the analysts. I have never spoken about. I have never gone and watched a laptop in my life, or never seen any data in it. Nothing.
So just for the record, that's 7 IPL trophies of captains who say, I don't believe in data. Because
you
5
can
of MS and 2 of yours.
Absolutely not. I've never spoken to any video analyst. Nothing. Never asked for anything. No data. No analysis on the auction table. Nothing. Just the instinct.
So the actual answer is 8. The next question is also a trick question, because I think on the outside people do believe that you're a proper nerd, right? So even the person setting the questions here has come out with that sort of a pedestal for you. Who has smashed the fastest 50 for KKR in IPL? It's going to be a really tough question. A. Sunil Narayan, B. Pat Cummins, C. Andre Russell, and D. Yusuf Pathan.
Pat Cummins.
That's right. that's an extraordinary answer. Do you know where it was?
Yep. Pune. Mumbai Indians.
It was Wankhede. I think it's Wankhede against CSK, if I'm not wrong.
No. Against Mumbai.
Mumbai at Pune.
At Pune.
Okay, right. Maybe I am wrong, right? The next question is, how many matches have you captained in the IPL? That includes the other teams as well. You
More
captained.
than 100. I think 100.
I'll give you options.
I did 100, more than 100 for KKR. I did 1 season with Delhi. I did 6 games for Delhi. 100 and then Champions League as well must be around 100.
I'll give you options. 129, 125, 132, 135.
That's a very tough one.
Okay, can we do the
Cut
Kaun
it down
Banega
to
Crorepati 50-50 options?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'll give you two options. 129, 125, 132, 135. I'm going to take two away, which is 125 and 132. So we've got 129 and 135.
129.
129 is the right answer. Do you know how many games you won in 129?
No.
71 wins.
Is it good?
That's quite staggering. It's actually not good, it's staggering. Any which ways. The final question. Which pair holds the record for the highest partnership for any wicket for KKR? It has to be openers. But anyway, option A, Gambhir and Uthappa. Option B, Narayan and Uthappa. Option C, Gambhir and Lin. Option D, Narayan and Lin.
Me and Len.
Gambhir and Lin, do you know how many it was?
170, 160 against Gujarat Lions?
184, the team is right, Gujarat Lions.
At Rajkot.
It's amazing, Gauti bhai. That brings us to the end of the show actually. But I waited and did this show right now because that's a wrap on the season and I wanted to finish with a bang. Usually not what a spinner would say. You don't want to bowl the 19th, 20th over to finish with a bang. In no other, usually I give the closing lines, but I want to leave you with the closing line here. Because this
do the honors.
This has been your show. This has been something that you've stolen away. So I want to ask you a question where you can finish with your thoughts. If you're a cricketer wanting to play, what sort of a character should you mold into?
What kind of a character?
Yeah, how would you build their character? How would you mold them? What would you tell them? What's the one foremost character that you must have?
Honesty.
Honesty.
And courage. And third, don't look to be popular. Look to be a winner.
Honesty, courage, don't look to be popular, look to be a winner. And that's probably what the entire interview has been about. And it's a wrap on this season of Kutti Stories with Ash, brought to you by Peter England. I don't think I would go on to do better interviews than this. And it's a very fitting finale to this one. And Gauti bhai, you've been a wonderful guest.
Pleasure is mine. And
I want to hand over a very special gift hamper from Peter England. So this is a gift hamper from Peter England, Gauti bhai.
Thank you.